And welcome back to Municipal Matters here on TV Kojiko. Joining me, we are very pleased to announce a special guest, the Honourable Steve Peters, who is the Speaker of the House. He's also a Member of Parliament, Provincial Parliament, for Elgin, Middlesex, London. Nice to see you, sir.
Thanks. Great to be here.
You look a lot better in person, let me tell you.
Thank
I'm watching Provincial Parliament all the time.
Well, I say that to people all the time. You want to see question period, you got to come watch it in
That's
person.
right. And we've got Lou Rinaldi joining us as well. Now, I understand you two gentlemen have been around in the eastern part of the riding this morning.
We have been.
And you've been talking to a couple of schools.
Yeah, we have. We had the opportunity. I had the opportunity when Steve offered us time to come to the riding. It's something that I don't remember have been done before, and that certainly we offered our beautiful riding Northumberland Quinte West to come and explore some schools. And it was really interesting because we talked about Steve's role and the nonpartisan part of government that we seldom, we think we are nonpartisan, but in many cases it's hard to distinguish. But we visited 2 high schools and 1 grade school, and kids were fantastic, and they were quite impressed with Steve's background, what he does, and what his responsibilities are. So it's good to have Steve here today.
It is. Well, a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, once you are the elected government, you have to be nonpartisan, really, don't you? You have to represent every member of this province. It's only the opposition that has the luxury of pointing the finger and saying you should have or we would have done better, blah, blah, blah. But you're the Speaker of the House, so your role is completely nonpartisan.
The day that I became the Speaker, I left my partisan Liberal hat at the door, and I have to work with 106 other members of the legislature, and all equally. Lou is no different than the Premier, than Bob Runciman or John O'Toole. They're all equal to me, and for me, it's extremely important to demonstrate that as Speaker, I am nonpartisan, and I'm going to look after the interests of all members of the legislature.
Well, I guess, and one of the key responsibilities you have as Speaker is to keep business moving on the floor, isn't it?
It's really important. For most people, I think they focus in on that 1 hour a day of the question period, and certainly that's the highlight when you see the House full of members. But we've got regular proceedings that whether it's debate on legislation or introduction of bills, various motions, reports by committees, petitions from members. We've got a schedule that has to be met every day, and myself, along with 4 deputy speakers, we look after and perform those duties on behalf of the members.
Now, how does one get to be the Speaker of the House?
It's an election. Up until 1990, the Speaker was the prerogative of the Premier. So the last Speaker from this area, as an example, is John Turner in Peterborough. John was the Speaker from 1981 to 85. He had been appointed by William Davis. But in 1990, they went to a secret ballot. So on November 28th, 2007, 5 of us had thrown our name into the hat to run for Speaker, and each member had 1 vote and a secret ballot, and after 4 ballots, I was elected the Speaker of the Legislature.
4 ballots.
Now, that's
a long night.
It was a long afternoon.
Oh, that's right. You guys sit in the afternoon, right? Usually, what time are you sitting now? 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
No, we go 9. We start 9 till about 6 o'clock. Question period used to be in the afternoon. It's now in the morning. It's at a set time. 10:30 every morning is showtime for the members. Showtime.
Now, there is a Ontario Provincial Legislature channel on the cable channel or on the cable system. Most people have it. They can also get it on a satellite, and I really do encourage people to tune into that, because you're right, it's so much more than question period. There is a lot of things that go on in the House that you don't hear so much about in the media. If it's not sexy, as the media likes to say, it's just not going to be on the news.
Well, you look at an average question period, there are probably anywhere from 16 to 20 questions that will be asked usually of the opposition. Now, the government does have a chance to ask questions, but the opposition are the ones, no offense, Lou, that ask the real tough questions. And, so there's 16 issues that get dealt with in a day, and, the media may pick up on 3 or 4 of them.
Now, how do you decide when, you have the power to say, okay, that's enough, or you can shut somebody down if they're going on too long, or if...
Well, we have question period, for example. You have 1 minute to ask a question, 1 minute to answer a question. So it's my job in order to keep the flow of that House moving, I have a couple clocks that I watch, and I'm very tight on 1 minute, 1 minute. The rest of the debate through the day, we have our rules are called the standing orders, and the standing orders define how much debate there is. The days of the old filibuster of somebody going on for a 12-hour speech are gone. One of the reasons it's gone is the governments of all stripes over the years discovered they couldn't do any business by allowing that to happen. So there's very clear timelines now in place that set out how long somebody speaks for.
Well, it's got to be tough sometimes as the speaker. I can watch some of these guys just prattle on, and you must be sitting in the chair going, "Keep me awake, keep me awake." I mean, there's got to be there's got to be times when you're chomping at the bit to say to somebody, "Okay, let's move on." And there's other times where you're thinking, "My God, I can't wait till this guy's finished."
Well, I think where you get challenged more, you get a little bit of that, but I try and listen because I appreciate when members, you can tell the members that take some time to write their own speech and try and draw local issues into it, and I appreciate that. I think the challenge is wanting to jump out of that chair and go participate in the debate.
Yeah.
And as speaker, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Well, let's talk about your previous role, because your previous role in government, you were the Minister of Labour and the Minister of Agriculture and Food prior to becoming the Speaker. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So this is obviously a huge difference for you then.
Well, it is, because in both of those roles, you were extremely partisan. I would be down. I did a number of partisan-related activities with Lou in the riding of Northumberland over the years, and those that you are partisan. You are there representing the government, and it was a shift. I received a phone call from the Premier on October 28th, 2007. 4:10 in the afternoon, we'll always remember it, thanking me for my services and that I was now a parliamentary assistant and no longer a minister. And I decided within an hour, I'm going to run for speaker. And I'm really glad I did. I think one of the things that, for me, Lou and I and all the rest of us live in a very partisan charged environment. And as speaker, it's given me an opportunity to get to know the opposition better. And you discover that, we're all there for the same purpose. We may have a different political stripe or a different philosophy, but in the end, they're there wanting to, encourage and help the interests of the people that they represent.
Now, your duties as Speaker go beyond sitting in the House, though, right? I mean, you have other roles outside of the House.
Well, that's part of what brought me down here today. I received this idea from Alfie MacLeod, the Speaker of Nova Scotia, as he traveled around the province. So I wrote to every member, offering to come out and visit. So this is the third riding that I've been to as Speaker. But I have administrative functions because as I'm nonpartisan, so is Queen's Park, the building itself. In order to maintain that neutrality all around, the building itself is independent. So I'm the de facto mayor of Queen's Park, administering a $100 million a year budget, $500 million with the different outside boards and agencies. Play a role as ambassador as well, because a lot of the visiting parliamentarians, dignitaries from other countries, it's my responsibility to welcome them and entertain them and talk to them about our political system. So it's been a real eye-opener, and it's probably the most interesting job I've had in my whole life.
Well, I just want to take this moment to remind the viewers you're watching TV Cogeco. The program is Municipal Matters, and joining me today is the Honourable Steve Peters of the riding Middlesex Elgin London. He is the Speaker of the House, and with him is Lou Rinaldi, our Member of Provincial Parliament for Northumberland Quinte West. Now, Middlesex, or Elgin Middlesex London, very large riding, not unlike Northumberland Quinte West. And I would hazard to guess they're very similar, aren't they, in terms of the makeup, rural as well as, you've got London, which is a university town. We've got Coburg here, which is the central hub in Northumberland Quinte West. I'd like to think it is anyway. And again, both really heavy rural. As a matter of fact, we were both tobacco country, as it were, at one point.
Yeah, the similarities are striking between the two ridings. With on the agricultural front, fishing. We talked a bit about that today as well too. Industrial makeup as well. So yeah, the ridings are very similar, and I've always been conscious of that, and it certainly it struck me that Lou is as well, that to get that message out at Queen's Park that the Made in Toronto cookie cutter approach doesn't necessarily apply to Coburg, Port Hope, or Trenton or Brighton.
Exactly.
So it's important that that anybody that represents, and it doesn't matter what political stripe, that if you represent a rural riding, you need to make sure, because we are so dominated by 416-905, that they understand that the issues out there need to be dealt with a little differently. And as a rural member, I'm certainly conscious of that.
Well.